you gotta do is read a book. Open up the cover and take a look.
Hello, boys and girls, and your teacher. I'm so glad to be in the classroom with you today. I wish I was literally in the classroom with you, but it's just good to be able to read to you. I have a story called The Talking Eggs. It's a folk tale from the American South. So it's got some lessons, and hopefully maybe this book is in your library at school, and you can read the book. Your teacher can read the book again, and you can read it, and then you can talk about it. Okay? All right. So we'll start with the story. It's got beautiful pictures too. Back in the old days, there was a widow who had two daughters named Rose and Blanche. They lived on a farm so poor that it looked like the tail end of bad luck. They raised a few chickens, some beans, and a few cotton to get by. Rose, the older sister, was cross and mean and didn't know beans from birds' eggs. Blanche was sweet, kind, sharp as 40 crookeds. But their mother liked Rose the best because they were alike, like two peas in a pod. Bad-tempered, sharp-tongued, and always putting on airs. The mother made Blanche do all the work around the place. She ironed the clothes with cold irons. She filled with coals. She chopped cotton in the afternoon, and in the evening she strained beans. While she was doing her chores, her mama and sister would sit on the porch side by side in a rocking chair on the shady porch, fanning themselves and talking foolishness about getting rich, going to the city, and wearing tail-train dresses and lots of jewelry. Not sure how I'm going to do with these pages. One hot day, Mother sent Blanche to the well to fetch a bucket of water. When the girl got there, she found an old woman wrapped in a raggedy black shawl, fainting from the heat. "Please, child, give me a sip of water," the old woman said. My throat is dry. I hate to do this to you guys, but
That's okay.
this isn't going to be in the tape, is it?
No, we'll start back. Just flip that page.
This is not good. Okay, but I'll get through it.
You'll get through it. You're fine. So just go ahead and flip, when you're ready, flip the page and just begin again. And if you need some water, just say, I need a little water.
Okay, so start. Okay.
No, we've already read this page.
Okay, yeah.
So just go ahead and turn it and then start
And
reading
then,
this one. So when I tell you to, not yet.
Yeah, no, because we skipped a page. I didn't finish this page.
No, I think
No,
that's
is
it.
that it?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
that's
yeah,
it.
she went. Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
so when I tell you go, reach and turn the page and we're good to go. Okay, begin.
One hot day, the mother sent Blanche to the well to fetch a bucket of water. When the girl got there, she found an old woman wrapped in a raggedy black shawl, fainting with the heat. "Please, child, give me a sip of water," the old woman said. "I'm about to die of thirst." "Yes, Auntie," said Blanche, rinsing out her bucket and dipping some cool, clean well water. "Drink what you need." "Thank you, child," said the old woman when she had taken swallow after swallow of water. "You've got a spirit of do-right in your soul. God is going to bless you." Then she walked away down the path that led to the deep woods. The pictures are so nice. Blanche got back to the cabin. Her mother and sister hollered at her for taking so long. "This water's so warm, it's near boiling," said Rose, and she dumped the bucket on the porch. Here your poor sister's dying dying for a drop of cold water," her mother screamed, "and you can't even bring her that one little thing." Then the two of them scolded and hit Blanche until they frightened the girl away into the woods. She began to cry, and since she didn't have any place to go, she was too scared to go home. Poor Blanche. But Blanche is a kind-hearted person, and being kind-hearted and nice reaps rewards. So let's see what happened to Blanche. Suddenly, around the bench in the path came the old woman in the raggedy black shawl. Just on time. When she saw Blanche, she asked kindly, What makes you cry so, you poor child?" "Mama and Sister Rose led into me for doing something that wasn't my fault," said Blanche, rubbing the tears from her cheek. "Now I'm afraid to go home." "Hush, child. Stop your crying. You come home with me. I'll give you supper and a nice clean bed. But you've got to promise you won't laugh at anything you see." What are we going to see? I wonder. Blanche gave her word of honor that she wouldn't laugh. Then the old woman took her by the hand and led her deep into the backwoods. As they walked along the narrow path, bramble bushes, tree branches opened wide in front of them and closed behind them. That's unusual. Older people, and I want to say elderly, because I did not introduce myself. And so since we're talking, the older woman is a vital part of the story. I'm Betty Thomas, and some of you might remember me from Black History Reads. But the reason why this story is special to me is because older senior citizens, elderly, which I am one of, I'm 78 years old, and so this book was special for me because you had this elderly lady, and sometimes, you think older people are a little peculiar, but they have so much knowledge, and she's an example of an elderly lady who's kindly and has lots of knowledge and really caring, even though her circumstances are unusual. So let's go on with the story. Soon they came to the old woman's tumble-down shack. A cow with 2 heads and horns like corkscrew peered over the fence. Blanche over the fence at Blanche, and brayed like a mule. She reckoned it was a pretty strange sight, but she didn't say anything, and not wanting to hurt the old woman's feelings, she didn't laugh. Next, she saw in the yard in front of the cabin filled with chickens of every color. Some were hopping about on 1 leg, some running on 3 legs, and 4 and even more. These chickens didn't cluck, they whistled like mockingbirds. But stranger as it was, Blanche stuck by her promise not to laugh. See the colors of the chickens. So this elderly lady was special. I don't want to say grandma, but because it doesn't say she's a grandma. But we're going to mention that at the end of the book, since I'm a grandma and a great-grandma. They set themselves on the bench on the back porch steps. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. When they got inside the cabin, the old woman said, "Light the fire, child, and cook some supper." So Blanche fetched kindling from the wood pile outside the back door. The old woman sat down near the fireplace, took off her head. She set it on her knees like a pumpkin. First she combed out her gray hair, Then she plaited it into 2 long braids. Blanche got pretty scared at this, but the woman had been nothing but kind to her. So she just went on lighting the fire. After a bit, the old woman put her head back on her shoulders and looked at herself in the mirror. Silver mirror nailed to the cabin wall. She said, nodding. That's better. Then she gave Blanche a old beef bone and said, put this into the pot for supper. Now Blanche was near starving, and the bone looked pretty sad. It looked like a pretty sad meal for the 2 of them. But she did what the old woman said. Shall I boil it for supper, Auntie? She asked. Look at the pot, child, the old woman said, laughing. The pot was filled with thick stew bubbling away. Next, the old woman gave Blanche only 1 grain of rice and told her to grind it in the stone mortar. Feeling mighty foolish, Blanche gave it a pound in the grain, began to pound the grain in the mortar. In the mortar. In a moment, the mortar was pouring over with grains of rice. When they had finished supper, the old woman said, it's a fine moonshiny night. Child, come with me. There she is. Okay, here all combed out. Oh, what do we have in the front yard? They set themselves down on the back porch steps. After a time, dozens of rabbits came out of the underbush and formed a circle in the yard. The men rabbits had on frock coats, and the women and the lady rabbits had little tail-train dresses. They danced, standing on their hind feet, hopping about. One big rabbit played a banjo, and the old woman hummed along with them. Blanche kept time by clapping her hands. She's having a good time, too. The rabbits did a square dance, a Virginia reel, and even a cakewalk. The girl felt so happy and never wanted to leave. She sat and clapped until she fell asleep. The old woman carried her inside and put her to bed. See, she's special. She was able to carry Blanche inside. So this is a very special kind woman. And if you look, you're saying, there's something unusual, and there is. But she's so kind to Blanche, and there are rewards for Blanche being kind. When Blanche got up the next morning, the old woman told her, "Go milk my cow. Go milk my cow." The girl did what she was told, and the 2-headed cow with the curly horns gave her buckets of the sweetest milk she'd ever tasted. They had it with their morning coffee. "You gotta go home now, child," the old woman said to Blanche, who was washing breakfast dishes. "But I tell you, things will be better from here on out. Since you are such a good girl, I got a present for you. Go to the chicken house. Any eggs that say, 'Take me,' you go ahead and take. But if you hear an egg say, 'Don't take me,' you leave it be. When you get near your home, throw the eggs one after another over your left shoulder so they break in the road behind you. Then you'll get a surprise." When Blanche got to the little chicken house, she found all the nests filled with eggs. So you can see some are plain eggs, some have jewels on them, different kinds of eggs. Half were gold and silver, covered with jewels. Half looked no different from the eggs she got from her chickens. All the plain eggs said, "Take me." All the fancy eggs said, "Don't take me." All the plain eggs told her, "Take me." Okay. After the plain eggs told her to take me, all the fancy ones cried, "Don't take me." She wished she could take just one gold and silver or jeweled egg, but she did what the old lady told her and only scooped up the plain ones. That might have been a little hard for her, but she's following instructions and she's respecting the elderly lady, elderly woman, even though it's unusual. She and the old woman waved goodbye to each other, but Blanche went on her way. Part way home, she began to toss the eggs one at a time over her left shoulder. All sorts of wonderful things spilled out of those eggs, like diamonds and rubies, now gold, silver coins, pretty silk dresses, dainty silk shoes, and there was even a handsome carriage that grew in a wink from the size of a matchbox, and a fine brown and white pony that sprouted from the side of a crooked to draw it. Isn't that nice? See, the old woman was full of surprises. Blanche loaded all those lovely things into the carriage and rode the rest of the way home like a grand lady. When she got to the cabin, her mother and sister just gawked at her new finery. "Where did you get all those things?" the mother asked, making Rose help Blanche carry the treasures inside. That evening, Mother cooked dinner for the first time since Blanche was old enough to hold a skillet, all the time telling Blanche what a sweet daughter she was. All the time telling her what a sweet daughter she was. Her mother got the girl to tell her about the old woman and the cabin in the woods and the talking eggs. When Blanche fell asleep, the mother grabbed Rose and said, You gotta go into the woods tomorrow morning and find that auntie. Then you're going to get some of those talking eggs for yourself, and just and all you can find. Then we'll get some. Then you'll get some talking eggs for yourself, just so you can have fine dresses, jewels, and just like your sister. Then when you get back, we'll chase Blanche off and keep all the things to ourselves. Then we'll go into the city like fine ladies, like we were meant to be. Can't we just run her off tonight? And I don't have to go poking through the woods looking for some crazy old auntie, Rose whined. There's not near enough for two, her mother said, getting angry. You do what I say, and don't be so contrary. The next morning, Rose set drag foot into the woods. She daunted mostly, but soon met the old woman in her raggedy black shawl. My sweet little sister Blanche told me about you, and how you. My sweet sister Blanche told me you got a real pretty house and all, said Rose. I'd appreciate to see it. You can come with me if you have a mind to, said the old woman, but you've got to promise that you will not laugh whatever you see. I swear, said Rose. So the old woman led her through the bushes, trees, and branches into the deep woods. But when she got near the cabin, Rose saw the two-headed cow that brayed like a mule, and the funny-looking chickens that sung like mockingbirds. She yelled, if that wasn't ever the funniest sight. then her, and then stupidest, and that's the stupidest thing in the world. Then she laughed and laughed and laughed until she nearly fell over. She broke her promise. She's so different from Blanche. Let's see what's going to happen to Rose. Said the old woman, shaking her head. Inside, Rose complained when she was asked to start the fire. She wound up with more smoke than flame. Then the old woman gave her a bone to put into the pot for supper. "That's going to be a mighty poor meal," Rose said, as she dropped it in the pot. But the old bone remained a bone, so they only had thin soup for supper. Then the old woman gave her a grain of rice to grind in a mortar. Rose said, "That sad speck won't hardly feed a fly." She wouldn't lift the pestle, so they had no rice at all. The old woman nodded. Rose went to bed hungry. All night long she heard mice scratching under the floor and screeching owls clawing at the window. In the morning, the old lady told her to milk the cow. Rose did, but she made fun of the two-headed creature, and all she got was sour milk, not fit to drink. So they had breakfast coffee with no cream. When the old woman lifted her head off of her shoulder to brush her hair, quick as a wink, Rose grabbed that head and said, "I'm not going to put you back together until you give me some presents like my sister got." Boy, Rose is not a nice person at all. Let's see what's going to happen to the old lady. "Ah, child, you're a wicked girl," said the old woman's head. "But I've got to have my body back, so I'll tell you what to do. You go to the chicken house, take the eggs that say 'take me,' but the ones that say 'leave me,' don't take. Then you toss the eggs over your right shoulder when you're on your way home." Remember, she had told Blanche the left shoulder. Be sure the old woman wasn't playing tricks on her. Rose set the old woman's head out on the porch while her body sat groping around the cabin. She ran into the chicken house. Inside, all the plain eggs said, "Take me," while the gold eggs and silver and jeweled eggs said, "Don't take me." Well, what ones do you think Rose took? You think I'm fool enough to listen to you and pass all the pretty ones? Not on your life. So she grabbed all the gold and silver jeweled eggs and that kept yelling, "Don't take me," and she ran into the woods with them, and then left the old lady, the old woman. She was okay though, but just mean Rose. As soon as she was out of sight of the old woman's cabin, she tossed the eggs over her right shoulder as fast as she could. But one of the big shells came clouds of whipped snakes, toads, frogs, yellow jackets, big old gray wolf. These began to chase her after her like pigs after a pumpkin. Hollering bloody murder, Rose ran all the way home to her mother's cabin. When the woman saw the swarm of things chasing her daughter, she tried to rescue her with a broom, but the wasps and the wolf and all the other creatures wouldn't be chased off. So mother and daughter hightailed it into the woods with all the animals following. Boy, pictures are really good. You can see all of the animals, the wolf, toads. When they returned home angry and sore and stung and covered with mud, they found Blanche gone into the city to live like a grand lady. though she remained a kind and generous as always. For the rest of her life, Rose and her mother tried to find that strange old woman's cabin and the talking eggs, but they never could find that place again. That's the end of the story. I like the story because of the older woman, and also you have two sisters that are different, and how kindness from one of the sisters paid off so well. Blanche and Rose, who was not as kind. She didn't, the kindness was not given to her. So you're kind, you get kindness back. If you're not kind, sometimes, we will always want to be kind. We want to be like Rose. And also, for your elderly person in your life, in your home, it could be a great aunt, a great uncle, a grandparent, great-grandparent. They have stories and they're treasures, so talk to them. The thing with this is communication and listening. Rose listened and she obeyed. Blanche listened and followed instructions. Rose didn't. Thank you.
All you gotta do is read a book.